Hello, this is Connie with the Piano University. I wanted to make this little quick video as just kind of an introduction to composition. If you want to compose a song, but you're really not sure where to start, here's some ideas. There's three kind of ways that I like to start a composition. One is from lyrics. The second is like a theme or an idea. And the third is from chords. Okay, the first, if you're going to do something, and even if you're not going to write a song where the lyrics are going to be sung with it, sometimes if you write out the lyrics, that gives you an idea of how the song's supposed to sound. Is it a slow, sad song or something like that? But also the lyrics can kind of help keep the rhythm, because if you're reading it like poetry, it kind of creates its own, rhythm and patterns of that rhythm. So that's kind of a good way to start. If you've got a poem you've written, or if you want to write up some lyrics, and then you can kind of create a melody and harmony that goes with it. The second thing you could do is a theme. And sometimes if I just have an idea of something I want to write, like I want to write something about like a science fiction battle going on, or I want to write something about a sport. Sometimes I compose pieces for my piano students, and if they have a particular thing they like one really liked basketball one time. So I wrote a song called The Basketball Bounce. So I know it's going to sound bouncy, and it's probably going to be a fast pace. It's probably going to have lots of staccato type notes in it. That kind of gives you a direction of where to get started too, if you have a theme or an idea of what you want the song to be about. The third thing is, if you know a lot more theory and you understand chords, you can create a chord structure. Basically those are called chord progressions. And it's basically if you start on like a C chord and you know which notes follow that and sound good, and then where you can go from that chord, and then how you can wind it all up to end well, where it ends on the tonic. So if you understand chords, you can write out like a chord structure first, and then use some of the ideas like theme or lyrics to kind of build a melody that fits with your chords. So that's kind of three main ways to start writing music. A couple of points to keep in mind is you need to have patterns. He's a former student now. He doesn't take from me anymore because he's all grown up. But I have a student who loves to compose, and that's one of the things he does now. He writes his own music and performs it. But when he first started composing, he had one problem, and this problem is really common. His songs were like a run-on sentence. He would think of, ooh, this sounds really cool, and then this sounds really cool, and I like how this sounds, and it would just keep going and going and going to different things, and nothing repeated, and nothing kind of was consistent. So it wasn't as pleasant to listen to. It got a little boring, and it's a little bit like listening to someone just ramble on with one big run-on sentence. You never know when it's going to end. You don't want your music to sound like that. And music has patterns that is created within it, either by notes or by rhythm. If you look over a long piece of music, you'll see there's lots of repetition. So if you have a little motif of just, okay, these few little notes, you'll see that little pattern all through that piece. And sometimes it's like, if you look over simpler music, it usually takes about 2 measures, so it's up to about 8 notes long, and it'll repeat. And then it does something maybe a little different. Then it repeats again, and it does something a little different. And then that same thing repeats again. So it starts every sentence, so to speak, of the music the same, and you can finish it again. And then you want something completely different, so you do something completely different, but then you come back to that same little pattern, and it makes people enjoy listening to it more. We kind of come to, it's like, oh, it's familiar with that, we like that part, and when it comes back, we recognize it. Now, some things you can do is to take that same little section and repeat it, maybe not on the exact same note, but start it like on a higher note. But you do the same pattern, and then you can do that same pattern on a lower note. So those are some ways to repeat patterns. You can also repeat patterns of rhythm, because that rhythm will sound familiar, even if you do that same rhythm on different notes. So I hope that makes sense. Another thing, here's another little secret. You can copy. Okay, now, don't just copy someone else's music and say it's your own, but you look at a piece of music that you like. If you can see, if you know theory well enough to understand what chords they're using, like, okay, the first 3 measures is using this chord, then it changes to this chord. You could even take that same chord structure and make up a completely different melody for it. But you're kind of using that as a template to get you started. And then, of course, change it where you feel you want to change it. But that's a great way to kind of get it started. And you know, great composers and great writers do the same thing. They kind of follow a template or these same kind of patterns. So there's nothing wrong with that. Another idea is you could take like a basic little theme, right? A very simple little song. And then what's called theme and variations. Now make a variation of that song. So you could just have, like, say it's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Of course, you're not going to copy that. You'll make up your own little song. But if it were Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, now I would play it and it would sound scary. And then I'd play it again and make it sound Christmassy. And then I'd play it again and make it sound jazzy. So you can take that one little thing and make all different variations of it, and it all is one big song. So those are some ideas to help get you started. If you want to compose and you get stuck or you have questions, feel free to contact me on Facebook. You can contact me, Connie Cullum, or my page is the Piano University. Feel free to ask right there on the page or private message me. So, or if you are in one of the groups that I'm in, I would be more than happy to help. So happy composing. We will see you later.